All right. Well, I'll introduce myself, although it's really nice to see a lot of familiar faces here and to see some new folks as well. My name's Diana Cassidy. I'm the facilitator of Third Act Sacramento, speaking from Midtown Sacramento, also known as the tribal land of the Nisenan people. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Third Act monthly general meeting. As some of you already know, but what may be new to the rest of you, Third Act's a relatively new organization. We're building a community of experienced Americans over 60 who are determined to change the world for the better. And we do that primarily by protecting the democracy and by divesting from fossil fuels. So nationwide, we're a group of about 60,000 seniors and growing rapidly. There are working groups all over the country, and Sacramento is just one of three in the state of California, just to give you a little bit of perspective. So today's meeting, the highlight will be a presentation on the new Third Act campaign that's coming out of our central headquarters, and then we'll have a Facebook demonstration that Carol's going to give us. There'll be some updates for some local teams and some announcements, and then we generally have an after party. So uncork your favorite beverage and we can chat about the Costco campaign some more or whatever people like. I'll also be posting the agenda as a PDF in the chat box. So if you'd like to follow along that way, that's fine as well. So Third Act is broken up into a variety of different teams, and Maureen Stubblefield is on the divestment research and campaign team. So Maureen, thanks for telling us about the new campaign.
You're welcome. Hi, everybody. So I'll give a little bit of background. We've got people from, that have been with Third Act from the beginning, and so there'll be some repetition here for those people. Third Act has launched a new escalation campaign to pressure banks to stop funding fossil fuels. That's been sort of the focus of the fossil fuel finance group for the past year and a half to two. Our Banking on the Future campaign focused on individual investment. So we protested at banks, we handed out leaflets, we asked our members and our friends and our family to go to banks and to talk with the bank managers about how their banks are funding the fossil fuel climate crisis. So now what we're doing is we're expanding that work to include institutional investors. So we need fossil lending banks to demand change. And I guess I want to say one other thing, we're not abandoning the Banking on the Future campaign, the individual actions. We actually want to ramp that back up. I think after our March 23rd, what was it, 0323, I can't remember what it was, but the big campaign we had in March, we kind of took the pressure off that campaign. We took our foot off the pedal, and we're wanting to kind of get that going again. But now we've got this additional campaign. We need fossil lending banks' largest clients to demand change, so not just the individual investors. The banks they choose are crucial to the overall company's climate impact. Over the next few months, we will be out in force encouraging Costco, the third largest retailer in the United States, to drop Citibank as its co-branded credit card provider. So we're not asking Costco to stop banking with Citi. This is a simple request that they stop their co-branding of their credit card with Citibank. A little background there, over 30 different climate organizations, the executive directors of over 30 climate groups wrote a letter to Costco asking that they change their credit card to a bank that was not one of the top in fossil fuel lending. And they said no, they wouldn't, that they're in a 7-year relationship with Citi and that they didn't have any intention on changing that. So that was step number one, to see if we could get Costco quietly to change its branded credit card. And the answer to that was no. So now we're on to kind of escalating a campaign that can involve many sister organizations, ThirdAct for sure. I guess one thing that's important to note, as if you're Costco customers, you don't need the Costco branded Citi card to shop there. Any Visa branded card will do it. So that's something to share with your friends and your family and anybody else. If you have another credit card, then use it at Costco and tear that one up. So why are we focusing on banks? Pressuring banks continues to be a strategic lever in reducing fossil fuel extraction. They're the ones that are funding it. They're bankrolling it. The 2023, and I'm going to, at some point, I tried to do it, it didn't work, but I'm going to put a link to a reference document that I created in conjunction with this presentation that will let everyone dig deeper into these issues. So the 2023 Banking on the Climate Chaos Report was developed by the Rainforest Action Network. And they've been producing this report for years. And it's really quite incredible. And there'll be a link to that report in the reference document. It provides really important background as to why are we targeting banks. Since the 2015 Paris Agreement, the world's 60 largest banks have invested $5.5 trillion into the fossil fuel industry. $5.5 trillion invested by the 60 largest banks in the world. Citibank, the one that is backing Costco's card, since 2016, it is ranked second in the world with fossil fuel funding. It has invested more than $330 billion in fossil fuel projects around the world. Citi is also the #1 funder of coal projects, extraction, and processing in the United States. So Citi is a target. Just as an aside, the #1 bank financing fossil fuels is Chase. And then Wells Fargo and Bank of America fall quickly after those. So those were the targets of our Banking on the Future campaign. It was Citi, Bank of America, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. I'm sorry, I got that. We know what they are, but Citi's definitely one of them. So why Costco? And well, Costco's motto is do the right thing. So we're going to help them fulfill that motto, fulfill that promise. They're the 3rd largest retailer in the United States, making it uniquely positioned to hold banks accountable. Across the nation, 1 in 3 Americans shop in Costco. With its scale and its reputation, we believe that it has the opportunity to be an industry leader by exposing and addressing the climate impact of its banking relationships. Costco is one of Citi's largest credit card clients. Credit cards are hugely profitable for banks. They scrape off processing fees, late fees, and interest. So if we can get Costco to switch, it will impact Citi's bottom line, and that's our goal. Until recently, institutions have viewed banking as kind of a neutral climate activity, not paying much attention to it and not including it in their Scope 3 carbon footprint reporting. And the scoping, if there's time, we can get into what those are, but it's basically the greenhouse gas, the 2001 greenhouse gas protocol, which came up with ways for companies to determine what their metrics were as far as their carbon footprint. So carbon 3 reporting, many companies report it. Costco reports it, but they don't include their banking. So the carbon bankroll report, which is different than the banking on which is different than the banking on climate chaos report. The banking, sorry, here, let me get straightened out here. The carbon bankroll report, it's one of our coalition partners that developed that. Their name is Topo, that's their organization. And they published a report in 2022 that reveals the hidden and substantial impacts of institutional finance. Where companies bank and how they invest is one of the most important climate decisions they can make. And we learned that in our Banking on the Future campaign as well. If we look at the money that we have in financial institutions, it's our largest carbon footprint, larger than the cars we drive, the heat that heats our homes. It can have a substantial impact. When companies account for the emissions that result from their banking and investment practices, their total emission footprints are revealed to be much larger. In Costco's case, the financed emissions account for the largest source of carbon pollution, even more than emissions from all the energy used in the warehouse stores for lights, heating, refrigeration, and delivery. So the money that they have sitting in their banks, in the banks that they use, which Citi is one, we're not sure what all of them are, but we're pretty sure that they're large banks. It's huge what they're contributing to emissions. A stunning 1.53 million metric tons of planet heating carbon dioxide. And those numbers in the reference sheet that I'll share, you can see what the methodology was in coming up with these numbers. So why Costco? It's a great opportunity for movement mobilization. We'll be working in concert with coalition partners across the nation, including Stop the Money Pipeline, Stand.Earth, Climate Organizing Hub, and others to mobilize Costco members to pressure Costco to switch to a better card. And there's a great opportunity here for a lot of our subgroups. The Sacramento working group has many subgroups, as Diana mentioned. And for instance, Goalie leads the Connections. I can't remember what the name of your group is, Goalie, but I think it's Connections. But they're the ones that really get out there and lead the tabling efforts, the climate strikes, the protests, the kind of the visibility, getting visible out there as to what we're doing to our climate and how we can change that. We also think that there's policy leverage. Climate policies, Costco climate policies already include Scope 3 emissions, but they don't include their financed emissions. And the financed emissions are the money that they've got in the bank and that money that is financing fossil fuel extraction. We also feel that Costco is not the enemy, city's the enemy. So we want the campaign to be friendly toward Costco, and yet we want to nudge Costco. Their response, they've been and they continue to be responsive to their members. They've been reported to be super good employers, good to their employees. And again, they have the do the right thing motto. And so our tactics will be friendly but forceful. Our ask is in keeping with existing climate, our ask of Costco is in keeping with climate policy and commitments. Costco should include the financed emissions associated with the banks it uses in its annual carbon footprint reporting, just as it will report on the emissions associated with the suppliers of the products it sells. Lastly, Costco should include climate-friendly criteria in its requirements for how it selects its bank service providers, including credit cards. So that's a very dry presentation. Deborah Moore has, she's got this presentation down, and there's gonna be a link to that presentation in the reference sheet that I give you. But it is exciting, and I think we can get out there and really mobilize a lot of people around trying to nudge Costco and have an impact on city. So that's it.
Thank you, Maureen. That was excellent. This is a brand new campaign, and we're so excited to get involved. What is ThirdAct, the central headquarters, asking us to do right now in relation to this campaign, Maureen?
So Central is asking us to get people to sign the petition ourselves, and to get our friends and our family to get that petition signed. Part of our actions will be to go to Costco down the road, not too far down the road, but I would say within the next month or so, that we'll actually go to Costco with leaflets, information, and petitions for the members to sign. And there's a survey that we'll send out that will ask our membership, the ThirdAct Sacramento membership, are they members of Costco? Because then you can have entry to the stores and maybe help with some of the campaigning we can do actually within the stores. I want to say one other thing, that I'm a researcher. So this campaign, I'm not the lead on this campaign. I think we're going to try to find one. I did a lot of the background research that brought Costco up as this campaign as a possibility. So I'm a little out of my league right now, but I will try to answer your questions.
Are there any other questions of Maureen about this campaign?
Well, I put a remark in the chat about who would be a good person to speak with in ThirdAct to determine what banks to, like, I'm with Citi and I keep wanting to get out of that. And I have been for a million years. It, kept growing until I finally ended up by default with Citi. But can somebody recommend that I can talk to?
Yeah, I can help with that. That was part of our Banking on the Future campaign, and we actually came up with a worksheet that has great alternatives, and that's actually in the reference sheet. But maybe we can put that in the next. Maybe someone can put that in the chat. But yes, we have that information, and there's a lot of great opportunities. Credit unions are almost always good. And it's also important to know that, you know, your credit card doesn't have to be associated with your bank. You know, there's a lot of great green credit card opportunities out there that aren't tied to a specific bank. So that's another option. Are you in Sacramento? Do you reside in Sacramento? Great.
I do now, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure you get that information.
Yeah, what I'll do is post in the chat the link to the petition if you're interested in signing it now, and that page describes it more. I believe it might have been in the latest newsletter as well, but we'll keep posting it in the newsletter that Lori does such a good job with. And I'll also post the link to the Better Banking in Sacramento, which Maureen and her team did just an incredible amount of research last year, identifying banks that don't have investments in fossil fuel companies. Okay, well, again, excellent job, Maureen. Thank you for helping us kick that off, and we'll be hearing about this probably at every meeting for a while. So now I'm going to turn it over to Carol, who does an incredible job with our graphics. And as co-host, I think I gave you screen sharing opportunities, but if not, I'm going to have to ask Lori to help out with that.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Marianne, did you have a question that you had for the last, for Maureen?
Hi. No, I just wanted to say that we tabled on Saturday at McClatchy Park, and we had a flyer that had a QR code to the Costco petition. And many people were interested in it. And so they took a picture of that QR code. And so we do have a flyer with that information. We just had one. But that's something that we can build on and use and include in anything that we pass out, I think.
That's great.
Okay.
I'm going to talk to you all about our Facebook page. I'm going to keep it brief. This is our page, the Third Act Sacramento. And if you're on Facebook, you can find us just by looking up Third Act. You can use the colon or not, I believe, Third Act Sacramento. And it's just an opportunity to understand what not only we're doing, but what other groups that we're involved in are doing. I think it's the reason I wanted to talk about it is because it's kind of exciting to see some of what other organizations we have access to on a regular basis just by being involved in Third Act. I feel kind of selfish sometimes that I have this wonderful news feed that I have access to because of my access to our Facebook, and we share a lot of these feeds, we share a lot of this information, but it's just really a remarkable, positive view of the world and of people who are doing things that, you know, travel and leisure, you know, you never know who's going to show up on your feed. But this is just just as an honest to God random, this is what the feed looks like today at this minute. And this is what we see as administrators. Richard Grow and myself are administering this page. We have just a lovely group of people that we are connected to. These are some of the people that we follow. I don't know if you also have all of our pictures on the screen or not. I'm just seeing those overlaying. So this is a list of some of the groups that we're following. And it's a very nice way that Third Act has perhaps behind the scenes that's not always seen, of connecting to the other groups, local, national, and international. There's a French group called 4 per Thousand, which is dedicated to committing 4 acres for every 1,000 acres to animal preservation, and climate is high on their list of how to implement. Not sure I can find them right now, but how to implement their carbon sequestration using proper what we would consider organic farming methods, but to me it's one of the very valuable assets we have in our work for the globe. And so it's organizations like that are nice to know about. I would like to show you a little bit more about what it is we're doing, personally with ThirdAct posts, but I did something really fun this weekend. I managed to delete all of our past posts. One's not supposed to be able to do that. I promise I never pushed the button that said, please delete all of our past posts, but I did at one point, in an effort to try to present a little slideshow for you all, have at my access, here's all your posts. So I can't imagine how it happened, but I can kind of look at the possibilities that was me who did it. So Richard is going to be very pleased. I sent him a little text. Richard, who has been doing most of our Facebook posting, although it's a shared administrative account, he does the lion's share of it, and is not able to attend tonight. He had other plans, but yeah, that he's going to be thrilled by this. But it'll be a clean start. It'll be a fresh new beginning, and so this is life. I don't have much more to say other than to ask if you all are at all interested, or if you just are curious, please go to ThirdAct Sacramento. Or if you're not on Facebook and you kind of want to catch up, you can access it by going to facebook.com/ThirdAct Sacramento. And that's about all I have to say today. Thank you. I'll stop the share. Answer any questions if anyone has any. I have a question. Oh, yeah, Lori, go ahead.
Could you give your pitch for people to like the page?
Yes, certainly. One thing that is the way that Facebook works is that they give more opportunity for more people to see what it is that Facebook is what ThirdAct is presenting on Facebook, if they consider the stuff that we're presenting of interest. So the best way that they have of determining that, it's called an algorithm. It's all mathematical, but they determine that by the fact that we get our page liked, we get our posts liked. So you can like a page, or you can look at a post and put the little thumbs up or the heart if you are so inclined, or the laugh or whatever you want to indicate as a reaction. You can share a post. That does seem to initiate a lot of that background algorithm potential for our page, which is great. Or you can interact with the post. You can say something. You can, and if you do interact, you'll get interaction back. Either Richard or I will respond to you. So, we can have more in-depth conversations about the subject matter that's being presented. So it really is an opportunity to continue a broader conversation. Gives you a chance, if you see something you like, to share it with your friends and family. And so I do encourage anyone who has some interest at all in Facebook in coming to take a look at us. Mary Ann, hi, you want to unmute
Hi.
there?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, can you sign petitions on Facebook or can you join Third Act on Facebook in terms of joining the organization itself right from Facebook, or can't you? I don't know enough about it.
No, not really. We're not, we're restricted because of the nature of us being a political organization. We do have some limitations on us on Facebook. We cannot create events, and we're not going to be able to create a petition. There is on our homepage a link to our working group page on Third Act Central, the Third Act Main website. And anyone who clicks on that link has access to that full website. So there's that access, but otherwise it's separate in that sense. One thing we probably could do, Mary Ann, is we could probably be posting up some QR codes. I'm not sure I want to say that without checking the regulations, but it's possible that if we pop a QR code in a post, we could get people able to access wherever that QR code sends them. That might be an interesting thing to try. Like, you just helped me think of something. Yeah. Good, those QR codes. We love them now, huh?
Thank you, Carol. We should probably move on, but I just wanted to say thanks so much to you and Richard. You're so responsive and you post so quickly, and I'm sure we'll repopulate all those posts and about the petition and everything else we're doing. So thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
Okay. So as I mentioned, Third Act has a number of different teams. I think it might even be 7 by now, and we're just a really busy group. So we're not going to have 7 updates tonight. We're just going to limit it to 2 teams, the local issues team and the connections and actions team. So Lori, could you give us an update on your new team and how others might get involved?
Yeah, the local action team, I've changed the title. Local action team had its first meeting last week or a couple weeks ago, and nobody from Third Act Sacramento showed up, but 3 younger people showed up, which was really interesting, and they were very enthusiastic. The concept behind this team is that there's a lot going on locally in city council and board of supervisors and SMUD, and there are a lot of groups working on those decision makers. And so getting together with the other groups and strategically figuring out how we can get our decision makers, our local decision makers, to make the right decisions is something that we can organize. The first thing I would like to organize is a candidates forum for mayor, because we have a very interesting mayoral race coming up in March. So if anybody's interested in working on that, we can do that. And I think there are a lot of other groups that will go into it with us. There will be a lot of candidates forums, but I think one focus specifically on climate and democracy would be very interesting. So that's what I would like to see our local actions group do. And if anybody's interested in participating, let me know.
Thank you, Lori. And then Goalie has some updates from the Connections and Actions team.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so we've got a bunch of stuff. We had quite a few tabling and farmers market actions in the last month or 2. So I'm so grateful for everybody who helped with that. And so we've got a couple things I'm just going to mention. First of all, October 28th is coming up, the Climate Justice Festival. This is Third Act is one of the sponsors. We're tabling there, and we have the wonderful fun opportunity to work with the kids We're doing the kids area, but we'll have a tabling so that while the kids are playing, we can get to kind of talk to the parents. So we would love your help with that. That's going to be at McClatchy Park, which is at the Oak Park Farmers Market from 10 to 2. If you are interested, please put your name in the chat for me. That would be wonderful. We could definitely use more people. And, you know, it can just be 1 hour. You can come for an hour and then walk around to all the other tables. There's going to be a bunch of music. We're serving free food, including vegan hot dogs and New Orleans red beans and rice vegan. That's the third act. And what else? So the next event besides that is November 11th. It's tabling at Farmers Market at Midtown. And that's, we do it with a big giant gurney that we made up with a sick earth puppet on top. And it really stops people to say, what is this? You know, and so we get a chance to talk to them. And a lot of people seem very interested. And we're trying to not just go to there. So we've tabled at that farmer's market, the one that I mentioned, Oak Park. And then Luke has been working on getting us connected to the downtown, the biggest farmer's market. And I think he's almost there getting that approved. So that's wonderful. And then let's see, the next, if you want to join our Connections and Actions team, then this team basically does whatever campaign is coming up that needs, you know, we do the art builds to design, you know, whatever signs and props. And then we organize a lot of the events. For example, the one we had in March, which was at the Capitol with giant puppets. So it's really fun if you like to be creative, or if you just like to be out there talking to people. That's a great opportunity, and we really try to connect with other groups while we're there. And then the last thing, so that's our next meeting is October 24th. It's usually on second and fourth Mondays, but this one I had to change because I'm going to be on a trip. So it's Tuesday, October 24th. They're usually at 4 o'clock. And I am going to put in the chat the link to our Zoom. Everyone is invited. We have a lot of fun, and we've done all kinds of things like having big giant banners in front of the highway, you know, up high overpasses, and we organized the puppet workshop for 4 different groups to help them also, and they're like, it just connects people because we built these things together. And one last one, October 25th, we've got that's my husband and I were helping organize a fundraising party for Katie Valenzuela, who has been very helpful in so many different ways. This is not directly with, but anyone who is interested in meeting her or helping support her, also you can put your name in the chat for me. Okay, and I'll stop right there. Thank you.
Thank you, Goalie. Just to remind folks, the public bank is still in play. It's an incredible opportunity to create a new institution that keeps money local, and Goalie's been spearheading that for Third Act, and Katie Valenzuela, who's on the Sacramento City Council, has been a big supporter. So I think it's a great tie-in with the work that we do. So I'm going to make one announcement and kind of throw one question out to the group. So one is just a reminder that at some of our demonstrations, we've talked about lamentors, which are a kind of a silent group of witnesses that they have a particular costume and makeup, and it's a way to express our grief about climate change. But there is some training involved and some expectations around the costumes and so on. And so there's a Lamentor webinar on Wednesday, it might be Thursday, October 19th at 10:30 in the morning. And Raylene Ferris is organizing that. So I'll put her contact information in the chat. It should be really interesting for folks that, if you've been to some of the demonstrations in San Francisco, XR in San Francisco are kind of the lead on that. And then my question for the group is, our next general meeting is the Monday before Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving holiday. And we can certainly have a Zoom meeting. Generally we do meet on Zoom because it's kind of convenient and, reduces emissions and all of that from all the driving. But we could also do something in person, maybe even a service activity if someone has a favorite charity. So I just thought I'd kind of throw that out. We'll be discussing it also at the coordinating committee meeting on Friday, which is a closed leadership team meeting. But if anyone has any thoughts on doing something around Thanksgiving in person, we have a few minutes to talk about that.
Yes.
I heard a yes. Is that correct? Can you elaborate?
I didn't say yes, but I think, excuse me, a physical meeting would be wonderful. I don't know how, or where.
Zoom is fine too. I have no objection. Francesca has her hand up.
Yeah, I absolutely am not what's the word, committed to this as something we have to do, because it really might not be in our area of focus. But I do also work with a really good immigrants' right organization called NorCal Resist. If any of you are familiar with them here in the Sacramento area. Yeah, I see that Ruth raised her hand. They do really phenomenal work assisting immigrants and asylum seekers and people who are being shipped here by, Florida governors and Texas governors, and they provide housing and all food, clothing, shelter services, you name it, they provide it, and basically keep these people alive while they get settled in a new country. They really do exceptional work. And again, it does not seem to be, what we focus on here at ThirdAct, which is more climate and democracy, but it is a very worthwhile group if it's something that other folks here think is appropriate.
Let me just add to what Francesca said. Actually, I think it has a lot to do with climate and democracy. Many of the asylum seekers are from countries that are becoming very authoritarian, like Venezuela. And then lots of other asylum seekers, are moving because of climate, basically. You can't, the agricultural systems are failing, they can't get jobs, their land is failing, and they're moving. And we're just seeing the very beginning of the waves of all of this. They're Ukrainians, they're Afghans, they're Venezuelans. Those are sort of the three major groups of folks. I think that's a great idea, Francesca.
Wonderful, and I appreciate that. I didn't want to be pushy being the new person, but I do agree. And, again, also, these, I think you already mentioned these folks, it's the really underserved people like these that are most impacted by climate change. So, yeah, so thank you, Ruth. I appreciate that.
Francesca, would you be willing to contact NorCal Resist to see if there's a group project we could help with?
I would be delighted to contact them on your behalf. And Ruth Holton Hodson, is that, can I refer, the gal I would contact would be Autumn Gonzalez.
Yeah, just contact Autumn and also Goya.
Who? Oh, Goya. Oh my God. I actually hosted Goya for a month in my house when she was between apartments. So yeah, I'm very close with Goya, Autumn, Ruth Ibarra. So who would be the best person? I guess, I mean, I think probably Autumn would be the best person to put in touch with you, Ruth, if I could just make that connection.
Oh, I know Autumn. I-
Okay, reach out to Autumn. I think she would just be very, very enthusiastic, because we're always short-staffed, we're always short-handed, we're always short-funded. So anything other organizations can do to help is most appreciated. So Autumn would be the best person to contact.
So, well, why don't we put in your email so that we can chat about how we do this?
Okay, and so can you at least put your email in the chat?
Yeah, I will do that right now.
Okay, Ruth, thank you.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, we very
That's what happens with cross-pollination.
yeah, we could also host a Zoom meeting as well, but we did have a potluck in the summer at the end of the summer and instead of the Zoom meeting, and it was really nice to see people. It happened to be outside, and I don't know. I already got my COVID booster, so I'm feeling okay about, being inside for a little while. So I think if we get together once in a while, it really helps with connections and ideas, fostering new ideas. Before I wrap this up, we have 2 minutes. Were there any other thoughts about the next meeting in November, about either a service project or preference for Zoom or a group project? Yeah, Salita?
So I sent a link, and I'm not sure if you guys have discussed the SAC-B in terms of your mission, but this morning there was a how to apply for a Sacramento Bee climate change response grant, and it's open to the public and anybody. And it's interesting that, you mentioned this immigrant group and the impact of climate change, but they're going to award three $5,000 grants, and it's open for applications till November 20th. And I didn't know what kind of funding you guys have, but it just looked like it seems like a very flexible grant with not a lot of guidelines. So I put the link in the chat, and it's the link if you go to the article in the Bee, you have to be a Bee member subscriber. But this how to apply for the grant, I just found the link to that, which was in the paper today, and not sure if any of you guys were aware of it.
I just saw it. Thank you for drawing that to our attention. We're in a little bit of a tricky position because we can't accept money. We actually get reimbursed for things through the central office, but we'll take I'll take a close look. And I really appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Yeah,
was
and
there
maybe
anything
just to
you had in
share,
mind? Yeah, was there anything you had in mind, Salita?
Well, it's interesting when I heard about this immigrant group. What was the name of it?
NorCal Resist.
NorCal Resist. I
am wearing the T-shirt.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I mean, they only have 3 grants, and I thought, something might take to something like that. I don't know. I had a silly thought, but it's not really related to the banking issue of, reducing plastic waste by starting a little campaign for that with plastic forks and knives. But that I feel is a little ridiculous and not well worked out. But that's where I thought with your guys' expertise, and if you cannot accept funds for some kind of project, it may not be appropriate, but I just was there today and I thought of this group and wanted to share it.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Okay, sorry, Lori.
I just wanted to respond to what Salita said. Plastics, not necessarily for this, but plastics is a very important climate change issue because that's where the fossil fuel industry is trying to go to lock us into using more fossil fuels when we have EVs and get away from fossil fuels in other ways. So plastic, drawing that connection between plastic and fossil fuels and climate change is really important.
Yeah, because my understanding is plastics are made from the remnants of oil production, and it's a way for them to get rid of all that stuff through creating more and more plastic waste.
Yeah, I was reading that Michael Bloomberg with his foundation is making a huge push towards stopping the petrochemical industry. So Goalie has her hand up, but I know you've been working on an anti-plastics campaign. Might you be interested in this grant?
Yeah, thank you. I wrote to into the chat. Thank you for Salida. And if anyone has experience with grant writing, I'd love your help. I've done them before, but it'd be nice to have somebody. But yeah,
And this
what we're
one
trying to
looks
do is
pretty
get,
simple.
first we're starting with the co-op
Yeah, when you look at
to
it,
try
it's
to get
pretty
them.
simple.
Okay, cool. Are you interested in doing it with us, or?
You can keep my name in mind, sure. If you, I definitely, I can put my email address for you.
Okay, yeah,
Goalie,
if you
and
can put in the chat, that'd be great. I promise I won't make you be the only one, but I think we could really use that. Thank you.
Wow, that's really exciting. Excuse me. Okay, so it's a little after 7, which means our formal meeting is done, and we usually stick around. Whoever wants to stick around for another half an hour.